Howdy. This week we've been talking about purpose and spreading the gospel. Now, we've been looking at how each one of us has a purpose, and with that, then we start to see that what we're spreading with the gospel is more a reflection of who God is in our lives, rather than just trying to look at verses by themselves and trying to explain it as if it's a story that exists without us. See, in our lives, we're able to see who God is: Father, Son, Spirit. And the more that we can see how God has revealed himself in our lives, then the more personal we can make the stories that we share, and the easier it is for us to give that story to others. I want to read to you from 1 Peter chapter 3. It says in here, "Now who is there to harm you if you are zealous for what is good? But even if you should suffer for righteousness' sake, you will be blessed. Have no fear of them, nor be troubled, but in your hearts regard Christ the Lord as holy, always being prepared to make a defense to anyone who asks you for a reason for the hope that is in you. Yet do it with gentleness and respect, having a good conscience, so that when you are slandered, those who revile your good behavior in Christ may be put to shame. For it is better to suffer for doing good, if that should be God's will, than for doing evil." Now, in this, always being prepared, the thing is that we are constantly expressing the way that we feel all the time. I believe in this product and I keep talking about it, and therefore after a while you're like, maybe I should buy that product too. Or, this is the way that I feel about how the world is working around me. I keep expressing it over and over again. And the more that you express the way that you see the world and how it fits and how it doesn't fit, then the more likely you're to say, maybe there's a point to that. And the same thing goes true in spreading the gospel. This isn't like, let me jump around from passage to passage and then reason out why you have to believe in Jesus based on this. Spreading the gospel is about how we're able to see that God ends up transforming our lives, and then because we see it in every aspect of who we are and every aspect of our life, it just comes out naturally in different aspects. We see how the world works the way it's supposed to work, and we naturally start to share parts of who God the Father is. Or whenever things don't work the way they're supposed to, and we have to look for mercy and hope and justice and forgiveness, and then we look to who Jesus is in our lives. Or at times whenever we're looking at, how is it that we're empowered or motivated, or out of nowhere something happens that we weren't expecting but that we truly needed, and that ends up showing that God really cares at that moment. And we see the Spirit working in our lives. And the more that we practice connecting who God is with the different parts of our lives, and how our everyday life and who we are and our hope in Him ends up connecting with who God is, the more that we practice this, the easier it is to come out in our regular conversations. Because the thing is that spreading the gospel is not some separate message. It's a part of who we are in Christ. And therefore, the more that we see those connections, then the more likely they are to come out naturally in everything that we say and do. And then the more natural it is in the way that we share it. So as we're coming together in coming months, we need to practice this together, sharing these stories, talking about who God is in our lives. And the more we do it, the more comfortable we are. Because the point is not to try to guilt people into more of it. The point is to help people see it more naturally. And the more we can see who God is in our lives and see how God has transformed our lives, the easier it is to express that and to tell others about that more naturally in our words and in our actions.